I'm sitting under the light, so I'm not sure. But let's see if we can't make this work. Alright. This video is about what it means to be a mother. And for this video in particular, usually I just go off the top of my head when I get on a video, but I decided to jot down my things so I can be more specific and not be all over the place and get directly to the point with a little ad-libbing, if that's okay. So, what it means being a mother. To me, what it means being a mother is being exactly like, if not more, than what my mother was. And in that, there was a serious side. There was a learning side. There was a funny side. And then there was just the side you didn't know really what to make of it. But the way I was raised by my mother and father, I tried to instill the same thing in my kids. Let's start with this, with all of those things mixed in together, but a little, ad-libbing of funny things. The first one is important, which is logic. And the one thing that my mother taught me about logic was said in a few simple words. And that was, because I said so, that's why. Anytime you were told to do something, and not necessarily, it wasn't me. I got siblings. I'm the oldest of 4. So I have siblings that got away with a whole lot more than I did, that were totally different than I was. I was the only child for 4 years before my second sibling came along. And when my sister came along, the way that my parents raised us and the way that they ran their household did not change, but the children changed. So a lot of what I'm going through on some of these things reflects on my siblings and what they did. They would question why when they were told something. I didn't question why, because I already knew when you're told something, you do it. So my mother taught me logic, and her logic was, because I said so, that's why. And that's the same way I am with my child. Now my oldest will ask me why in a heartbeat, and I cringe because of the way I was raised and my values and my morals and what I believe. When a parent tells a child to do something or assigns a specific task to that child, you do not need to be asking me why. So I'm going to move on from that. One that was real funny to me and that I learned, and it was funny to me because of what was said. My mother taught me insight. And that insight was, always wear clean underwear in case you get in an accident. my God. That was funny to me. I mean, who thinks of stuff like that? Always wear clean underwear, just in case you might get in an accident. But moving on. My mom taught me irony. And the way that she taught me irony was, if we got a spanking or got chastised and we started crying, she would say, keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about. And I'm like, we just got a spanking. I think you did give us something to cry about. But it was mostly used when she would just say something to us and we might start crying or whatever because we didn't like what we were told or whatever. And it was like, keep crying and I'm going to give you something to cry about. But the next thing that we were taught is she taught us about humor. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I can remember this like it was yesterday. I wanted to help mow the lawn so bad. When I was little, I was a tomboy. And I stayed around my dad all the time. And one more thing about irony. Today, 5 years ago, my father passed away on Veterans Day, November the 11th. Yeah. But the humor, I always wanted to help mow the lawn, and my dad would be on the lawnmower, and they would always give me the push more. I'm like, why you can't push the more? Let me ride. You know, that's what I'm saying to myself. I didn't say it to them because, hey, I did whatever it took not to get a spanking, okay? And that meant not doing any damn thing that required an ass whooping. But the humor side concerning the lawnmower, my mom told me once, when that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me. I thought that was so funny. I thought that was so funny to me. Another thing that I was taught that was kind of funny to me. Well, not so much as funny though. It may be and it may not. But one thing she taught me about, and this one, it happens to be a favorite, is about justice. And that was, one day you'll have kids, and I hope they turn out just like you. Oh, how I wish that that were so true. Because all of my kids are different. I have 3 daughters. And they all are different, but they all have traits of me. My baby girl is just like me. My oldest girl has traits of me. And my middle child has a few traits of me. And all 3 of them look like me, but one looks more like me than the other. But I thought that that would be a nice way to start out this video with a few things that we used to say. And I can remember one where she told us that our room looked like a tornado hit it. So I guess you could say she taught us about the weather. Oh my goodness. Anticipation was another. Wait till we get home and I'm going to beat your ass. Because they didn't really want to spank us in public. Those were threats. I'd rather say they were threats that we anticipated. Because when we got home, we got a whooping. no matter if it happened 4 hours earlier. But I just want to get on off into being a mother and motherhood. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Motherhood is not an easy task. It has many ways that are hard. And those that are hard are the ones that matter the most. And then you have some that don't really matter. Motherhood is very powerful. And being a mother has a high purpose in life. And you have to be equipped to handle that higher purpose of being a mother. When I first found out I was pregnant, I cannot remember being scared, because when I became pregnant, I was married. So I had nothing to worry about as far as being a single lady pregnant, wondering if the father is going to do his part. But I can't remember ever being scared. I can remember a lot of thinking. And for me, that's normal, because I constantly think. And even back then, until now, I have always been a thinker. I'm constantly thinking about everything, my next move, my next plan, my next goal in life. But I knew that pregnancy meant responsibility. I knew that pregnancy meant that it was no longer all about me. I felt once that pregnancy happened that what I wanted and that what I was doing prior to no longer mattered. That's how I felt. But I soon found that I still matter. It's just a thing with balancing out being a mother and living your life. And living your life came with including that child in everything that you do. Some people see having a child as a worry. I didn't feel that way. I wasn't worried. I wasn't scared. I just knew that, holy crap, here's some new responsibilities, but I got this. Because what I'm going to do is raise my child and do everything that my mother done for me. Everything that she told me about, she done for me. Moving on, But you do have concerns. And I don't look at worries being the same as concerns. My concerns when I found out I was going to have a child is I didn't want my child to be sick. I didn't want my child to fail. I wanted my child to grow up fearless. I didn't want any harm to come to my child. Any things that I felt that happened to me that were bad, I didn't want it to happen to my child. So it wasn't so much as a worry, but more of a concern. So I layered the way I handled things to try and prevent those things, even though we can't always prevent things from happening, because they are, things happen, they're going to happen. All you can do is try to prevent those things from happening the best to your ability. And you just don't want it to happen on your watch. So as a mother, you're vigilant to the end. I mean, until you leave this earth. It doesn't stop when they turn 18 or when they turn 21 or when they move out of the house, or it doesn't stop. You're still concerned about the well-being of your child until the day you leave this earth. You're no longer physically here. And I want to believe that when you do physically leave this earth, that your spirit would still hover or remain around as some sort of protection or warning sign for your children. I want to believe that that vigilance is that strong. Because as a mother, there is nothing that you will not do. No bounds, no ends of the earth, no walls that can stop you from protecting your child. And I'm speaking in a sense of that's how deep it is. I know a bullet can stop me. But in my mind, that's what it's going to take to stop me. So, in all of that, there are many benefits, many gifts beyond imagination to being a mother. Because being a mother, it encompasses every area of your life completely. And the way that it does that, it changes the way you think about your family. It changes the way you think about your friends. It changes the way you think about the world as a whole. And lastly, and most importantly, it changes the way that you think about yourself. It don't get any better than that. It changes the way that you look at your life. It changes the way that you act and react. It changes the way that you reflect on your life. And what I started with, the teaching moments, and had the little funnies in there with it, it teaches you how to examine things you never ever gave a second thought to. And to question the things that you thought were always right and the things that you thought were always true. So in all of those things that being a mother encompasses, being a mother is a beautiful journey. It can be a beautiful ride. It can be a wild ride. It could be the most incredible journey or ride that a woman will ever take. And it begins the moment you hear the words, "You're pregnant." And the moment I heard the words, "You're pregnant," even though I knew, but confirmation was the key. The moment I heard those words, I knew that my life was about to change drastically. But I didn't have the true idea of how drastically. So, at the end of the day, and not knowing how drastic or didn't completely understand how dramatic and exhilarating of a ride that motherhood would take me on as a woman, coming from under my own mother, I transformed into this being that was able to balance my own life, not just think about self, being able to take care of something so precious and small, while at the same time learning more about myself, transitioning into being that mother, and instilling those same things into my own. That's when I learned to be a multitasker. I thought being in the military taught me how to multitask, but no. I'm stirring a pot with my child on my hip. When I take my bath, I put her in with me, and we both take it. I'm cleaning her and myself. I learned how to balance things. I learned how to become an organizer. I learned how to become a thinker, a more prevalent thinker. I'm already a thinker, but I went to thinking even harder. I went to questioning things even more to get better understanding of those things. And to me, that's what it means to be a mother. Y'all let me know what you think.